Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to deconstruct the version 3 gearbox. Now you've watched the previous video and you've taken the gearbox out of the body, you'll be left with this single piece, the hop unit, which can be removed. With the hop unit you simply tap out this little bar here, my thumb is, and then you can slide the barrel out, but make sure your hop's off when you do that, just so you don't ruin the hop rubber. And that's how you take that apart, pretty easy. Right, so with the gearbox, first of all, take off these two pieces in. These are what make your selector plate move. So if you want to lock it to semi, you could figure out a way to interlock them like so, in the wrong place, whereas they cannot move very well. So you could do that. First of all, we're going to remove this screw here, which is quite difficult as I believe it's thread locked. So I'm just going to take that out. This is what connects with the selector plate on the other side. And then we're going to remove the motor. Again, the screws appear to be thread locked. This is the gearbox from my budget Cyma CM521b, which is a budget gun, which I purchased for £65, which is very cheap considering it has this full metal gearbox. Right, now you can take off your motor, which is okay. It's not particularly torquey, but then again it's a stock motor and it feels alright. Just going to put that to one side. Sometimes you can remove the wires, they can come out, the little pins, but these ones are soldered on, which is in a way is better, as it means they're less likely to come off. It's one less issue that could be caused. But then if you want to change the motor, you have to resolder them, which is fine if you have a soldering line. And then I'm going to remove a screw at the back here. Some of these screws seem to be thread locked in, others aren't. This is an AK gearbox, as I mentioned. Other gearboxes, such as MP5Ks and AUGs and UARs and things, are all very similar. There's normally linkage over here for the selector plates, and once you've taken that off, it'll be the same. And those are normally pretty simple. They either come off when you can either pull them off, or you can undo screws to take them off. With the UAR, it's just a bar which comes off, so it's not too difficult and it should be pretty similar for most version 3 gearboxes. Now I'm going to remove the front screw, which sometimes is screwed into the hop-up unit on certain guns, such as the APS UAR. The hop-up unit is screwed into the gearbox, so you might have already removed the screw earlier. Right, now you can see we have all the screws out. There's one last piece, which is this metal bar at the top, which holds the top of the gearbox together. These are often quite difficult to get out. As you can see, there's a little notch just there, which is preventing us from getting off. Obviously, you don't really want it to come off too easy, as it's what's hold the top of the gearbox together. But we want it to come off eventually, so I don't think it's going to slide off, so we might need to use something a bit bigger. Just might do it. I might need to use a pair of pliers to try and pull this thing off. Either way, it's not particularly easy, but should be able to get it off eventually. There's a little bit. I'm just going to make sure it gets over the notch at the back. So if you do what I've just done with the screwdriver, you should pry it up a bit, and then that should allow you to. There we go. There's the bugger. Push it off. Eventually this will get a bit easier, but for the first time It's going to be an absolute pain in the ass, like it is now. There we go. You've got to be careful with that because it is a bit of metal and it's quite sharp. So you don't want to hurt yourself when you're taking it off. So you've got to be careful. Right, now that you've taken out all the screws and the bar, you can take out your gearbox. I'd recommend holding a screwdriver near the back, prying it up a little bit, and hooking it into the back of the spring guide so you can hold the spring in place. Oh, there's actually one last piece I forgot. There's a little black piece of plastic here that acts as a dust cover for the gears, as it stops dust from getting into the gears. I forgot about this. Sometimes you can just take the gearbox apart and it will come off, but other times you need to physically pry it off, as I'm having to do here. But yeah, I'd recommend you definitely put this piece back on when you finish, as it does stop dirt from getting in to your gears. So it's a reasonably important piece of plastic. There we go. And then you can actually see part of your sector gear. So now you've got that piece off as well. Do what I said, sliding the screwdriver into the back to hold in your spring. And whilst doing that, pull up the other half of the gearbox, holding the cylinder, and then pry up the back of the spring guide, let it release, then lift up the other gearbox shell. And here you are. Here is your version 3 gearbox. Just going to take out the spring quickly. We're going to remove that so we can just sit that back to rest. As you can see, you have your standard 3 gears, your trigger, which is made up of 2 pieces, this black actual trigger and this little linkage section, both are very important. You have your tappet plate, as well as your piston, which is very slippery. As this is a Cyma gearbox, and this is the first time it's opened, you can see some green grease, which is always lovely. So we're going to take out the compression components. As you can see with the tappet plate, it looks like quite nice quality. A Mo O-ring nozzle, a piston with 1 steel tooth, and this is a standard Cyma piston, so it's the same piston you'd get in most Cymas, and this nice silver kind of maybe aluminium cylinder, which has a nice port on the side, and it's a lot better quality than some I've handled before, such as the one that came out of my Well MP5. That cylinder felt like crap. The compression is pretty poor. I mean, the cylinder head's just kind of moving around, but that's okay. We can replace that. Right. First, what we're going to do is we're going to find my lovely box of parts another cylinder head. Let's try this one, which has an extra washer added to the back to try and correct the angle of engagement a bit. Let's have our piston. That is, get it in the right place, put it back in the gearbox. That is still pretty bad actually, so we're going to have to try and fix that. Although we actually are going to be using this FHS piston, so actually I'm just going to test the compression with that. If it's still bad, I'll blame the cylinder, but it's not. As you can see, that is good, and it's not creating a vacuum on its way back, so that is good compression. So we're not going to use the standard Cyma piston head. This was the cylinder I was talking about. This is the one that came with the